All right, so what we're looking at here is we are back to working on the International TD14 Dozer. It is a 1947, and I have had this thing now for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and I have been having just different fuel issues, if you will, not being able to figure this out through any kind of forums or talking to people that have worked on these. And everyone kept telling me this is a stuck rack or a stuck plunger inside the actual injection pump itself. And while I did go in there and figure out that the plunger was stuck, the rack was not stuck, and yet still I could not get this thing figured out. And I had an individual here on YouTube. I posted another video about working on it, trying to get it figured out. And they said, hey, get in and check out the plungers underneath the distribution block and make sure those are freed up and actually actuating and turning, or I should say pumping up and down the way they're supposed to be. And thank you to that individual. I will tag you in the description and everything, because you were correct. Every single one of those plungers underneath of the distribution block was in fact plugged or jammed up or gummed up or whatever. It doesn't matter. They were froze, all four of them. And I did manage to work those loose. And the ones that were in the distribution block, I did get them free. I figured out how to get them out, got them out, and got those freed up again. And now that's functional. They were stuck in a bypass position and just letting the fuel go on through, pretty much eliminating any kind of pressure that there could be. And yet again, after that was done here just a couple days ago, it still would not work. And I went back and I checked all my fuel and everything, and I could see that the plungers were actually going up and down in the distribution block, because you could see the fuel moving in the outlet nipples, and it was moving fine, hitting on time according to the way it was looking. But I had to disassemble some stuff again, because it wasn't getting fuel. Fuel just seemed like it wasn't moving because it wasn't coming out of the bleeders at the injectors. So what I did is I went back down after troubleshooting some stuff with some friends and trying to figure this out. We managed to narrow it down, and he said check that plunger again, and it just didn't seem right to me. So I went and I checked the distribution, or not the distribution, the lift pump, which is what you see in front of you here. And I was like, it's got to be something in here. It has to be. And I took this thing apart, and I'm kind of giving it away right there, right now. But I rotated this around. I took it apart and I rotated this around. I'm like, okay, everything's moving. You can hear the pump actually trying to work. And then for whatever reason, I was holding it and my fingers touched this gear, and you can see there's a woodruff key right here. And you see that slot where that woodruff key is supposed to be lining up? There's one on this gear, and there's a gear on the other side over here. And I was like, what in the heck? Because you could feel this thing. It would hang up every now and then. And you can see that shaft on the bottom spinning. It's spinning the gear on the other side. So that one is actually spinning. But that woodruff key right there is not functioning. It's now a high performance 2-piece woodruff key. And I'm trying to figure out where to find them. Well, needless to say, there are no 2-piece woodruff keys, and these things sheared completely in half. And I do have new parts on the way. But the reason why I wasn't getting any fuel is because of that key that you can see spinning around there. And every now and then it'll catch and it'll go. So I was getting intermittent fuel at best. But if you apply any kind of pressure to this, like I'm barely touching it with my thumb. Barely. Look at that. A little bit of crud gets in there, and that's all it's going to take. And it's going to hang that up, and it's not going to work. So I have found what would hopefully be my final issue to the fuel problem, and it is because of two 28-cent woodruff keys, probably most likely from the year of 1947 when this machine was built, but they are sheared off. And I can show you even more if you'd like here, but I don't think it's really necessary. But you can take this out and see if I can get it out of there. That key doesn't want to let go now, but you can see right there is part of the key, part of the woodruff key, and anyone knows anything about those is they're supposed to be rounded on the bottom. But you can kind of tell right there it's been worn for a while, and you can see it's kind of dished out in that key. And the other half, you can see very clearly, is still right there in that shaft. You can see it right there. And I don't know if I can even get that. Let me see if I can pull that out just so you can see what I'm talking about. But anyone that's familiar with these should be aware. But yeah, after 2 years of struggling to figure out what this issue was, and obviously it was on and off 2 years, it wasn't a full 2 years, but I didn't always have the time. What ended up happening here is that woodruff key went and split right in half, and you can see it's dished out right there. And 2 of those keys inside that pump is what has been, I'm guessing, causing my issue, because it would intermittently, and even the gentleman that I bought it off of said that it would intermittently puff smoke trying to start, but it just wouldn't go. So hopefully this helps someone. While the most common issues are most likely, from what I hear the older guys say, is a stuck plunger, a stuck rack, or your filters are gummed up and doing something that they shouldn't be doing. This was a few separate issues, but the underlying issue was that these woodruff keys were just busted and sheared off, and it wasn't allowing the pump to actually pump true and consistent to its nature. And yeah, that is the issue. Hopefully we'll have the new keys here on Wednesday. It's Sunday now, so hopefully we'll have them here on Wednesday and we'll be able to get this pump back together. So if you're working on a TD14 or anything along that line and you're having a fuel issue, don't get hung up on the hype of people telling you it's a stuck plunger or a stuck rack, while it most likely is that issue or something along those lines. Don't forget to check for these small things like this, which I honestly wasn't even thinking this, and if it weren't for the fact that I spun that shaft and had that gear spin on my finger, I probably never would have figured it out. But either way, hope this helped somebody, and thank you to the individual that helped me get that distribution block and plunger setup figured out, because I guarantee you that would have been the next thing that I was hunting down. And believe it or not, I have to go back down there and take that back off of the tractor, because when I took them plungers out, I forgot to put that back in one of the ports, and that's a pain in the butt right there. No big deal. It's easy enough to come apart. Them pumps aren't that complicated. It's just a matter of getting them apart and actually understanding the workings of them, and maybe getting a little bit of help along the way from somebody that is somewhat familiar, which again, thank you very much to the individual that will be named in the description for your help, because I guarantee you definitely saved me some issues along the way, even though I had to figure a lot of it out. You pointed me in the right direction and had a good way of describing things. But either way, hope this helps somebody. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your projects. Have an amazing day.